American software developers Ben and Sean are flying to Russia when suddenly the power goes out in the plane due to an electrical short. Thankfully, it immediately comes back, and they land safely in Moscow. They're here to try to find local investors for their app, which specializes in finding bars and events in the area. On their ride to the company, they check if anyone is using their app here and discover two American girls having fun. Their excitement fizzles as they reach the boardroom, only to find the meeting underway. Their associate, Skylar, has stolen their idea and is pitching a copycat product to Russian investors, and has them escorted out by security. Later, Ben and Sean go to a club to drink and forget. Sean finds a girl he likes, but it turns out she's with Skylar. They also find the girls they saw on the app, so they approach them, learning that their names are Anne and Natalie, and being happy that they recognize them from their developer blog. The four of them are having lots of fun together when suddenly, the lights go out and their phones stop working. Everyone in town rushes outside and looks at the sky to see a yellow aurora that glows for a few seconds before it splits into light balls that start falling all over the city. A cop decides to carefully approach it and poke it with his baton, only for the light to suddenly disintegrate him until there's nothing left but ash. Sean's group runs back into the club, but the light comes after them. This being sees the world in gray, and only humans are a glowing orange. Sean's group manage to hide into the storage room, where the light can't get in. The supply room is safe enough that hours begin to pass without much happening, and the group stays alive. Sadly, a person wounded eventually dies, so the group wraps his body in plastic and duct tape to avoid seeing him rot and hopefully cover the smell. After 5 days of hiding, the group is running low on food. Since it's been 27 hours without noise, they agree to come out and search for the US embassy. Then they find the streets empty and wrecked with cars abandoned on every corner. The group walks down the streets without knowing where they're going when suddenly they hear a noise. A Russian lady is sealing up the window of her apartment, and they try to ask for help, but she doesn't understand English and only warns them in Russian about the ghosts out there. Eventually, the group finds the bridge that should lead them to the embassy, but it's been destroyed by a warship that crashed into it. As they wander through the city thinking of other ways to cross the river, they reach Red Square and notice an abandoned police car, breaking the trunk open to find a better map and a flare gun. At that moment, a dog starts barking at something invisible only to suddenly be disintegrated. Panicked, Ben and Sean are rushing to hide underneath the police car. The creature soon comes closer and its presence activates the car's siren and lights, but it can't see the guys under it and soon leaves. Afterward, the duo runs into the mall to reunite with the others. As they look around, they're shocked to find an airliner that crashed right into the building. Skylar thinks they should stay here until help comes, but Sean and Ben feel they need to move on to survive. Discussing what happened, they conclude that the creatures must use some sort of electrical field for protection which activates electrical devices. They look for light bulbs and take one with them to use it as warning devices that will light up if the monster comes closer. Then the group goes looking for more comfortable clothes to run in, but suddenly, they are interrupted by the bulbs lighting up. He immediately freezes in the display window, and to his surprise, the creature passes him by without noticing him. Meanwhile, Natalie runs to hide among the clothes racks as the monster enters the shop. It is about to catch her when suddenly Sean drags her away and tells her to freeze. Once again, the entity passes very close to them without noticing them. Next, the group leaves the mall and goes looking for the US embassy, but unfortunately, they find it destroyed as well. There are dozens of shells from a gunfight at the entrance, and Skylar finds a semi-automatic rifle that he takes for himself. He likes it a little too much, and starts shooting like crazy at nothing, annoying his group. Skylar stays at the entrance to guard, and the others go upstairs to look for survivors, but the building is empty. In the situation room, they find reports about what happened. Global communications only lasted for 3 minutes after the attack. Most capital cities have been invaded, and they haven't found anything that could hurt the monsters. They find a radio inside a birdcage, and Sean carefully turns it on, but the message it plays is in Russian, and they can't understand it. Scared that the creatures may hear them, Anne makes Sean turn it off. Then the group looks outside, and by using a rifle scope, they discover various balls of yellow light and smoke streaming into the sky as they dig around the city. The digging causes the buildings around those spots to collapse, triggering a whole new level of destruction. Suddenly, they hear gunshots and see Skylar running down the street. Sadly, he gets disintegrated by the mysterious light, and he has no chance to escape. As the group reunites, Sean notices a room with power in an apartment building in the distance, and they suspect that this is what made Skylar leave. Sneaking around carefully in the darkness, the group crosses the city while avoiding the attention of the creatures, and eventually makes it to the apartment building right before sunrise. As they walk through the corridors, they're suddenly blocked by Vika pointing her gun at them and speaking in Russian. She takes them to the apartment with the light, explaining she came over for the same reason. To their surprise, the apartment is completely covered with a metal cage, and even the cat has a little metal structure on its body. The owner Sergei is happy to see more survivors and explains he has a diesel generator. Vika adds that he transformed the apartment into a Faraday cage, an enclosure used to block electromagnetic fields. They found out that a nuclear submarine is in the Moscow River and will pick up any survivors that reach it before morning. They also find that tons of submarines are doing the same thing around the world. And Sergei explains that the submarines are perfect Faraday cages. The group agrees to leave together to find the submarine, but first, they'll need supplies. Vika leaves with Natalie and Anne to scavenge the other apartments. She doesn't close the latch. While the girls look for supplies, the creatures see them in the building and move in to attack. The exterior lights give away their movement and the girls immediately run away. The girls run back to Sergei's place. They manage to make it to the apartment but are unable to close the hatch, so they hide behind a glass table. The creature quickly comes inside and Sergei stops them with the microwave rifle. Unfortunately, it only lasts a few seconds and Sergei can't recharge fast enough, so the monster becomes invisible again and disintegrates Sergei. The trio climbs down the emergency stairs and escape. Then they find a group of Russian policemen dressed in metal. They tell the group to hide, and when the street lights start glowing, they open fire on the monster. They manage to hurt the monster and scare it away. The cops explain that they can hurt the aliens but not kill them. Sean notices a piece of a hard black substance on the ground which was knocked off the creature's shield, and decides to keep it. Both groups leave together and take the subway tunnels for extra security. It's very dark down there, so they throw miniature light bulbs on the floor as a way to check for monsters. They immediately start glowing, so the group rushes to the subway platform to hide as lines of light extend into the tunnel to attack. Soon, they make it to the river and find a boat that they steal to sail until they find the submarine. Suddenly, they see various giant beams of light lifting metals and resources into the sky, and the cops conclude these must be aliens looking for Earth's minerals. Suddenly, debris hit the boat, and they all under the water. Luckily, they get saved by the captain's submarine. The captain welcomes them and announces they must leave immediately. But Sean notices Natalie is missing. As a flare launches in the distance, Sean is sure it came from Natalie and gives a speech that convinces the captain to wait for them to find her. Before they leave, the technicians on the submarine look over the microwave gun and build another one with better batteries. Then Sean leaves with the cops and as many weapons as possible, leaving Vika in the safety of the submarine. They find Natalie's flare gun, so they know she has to be close. While they are searching for her, the creatures see them and attack them. They run away while the creatures are following them. Eventually, they reach a trolley bus and find Natalia hiding there. The creatures are surrounding them, and the officers start shooting. The creatures get hurt, but they don't die. Meanwhile, Sean tries to save Natalia from the bus, where she got trapped, but a creature is after them. Sean uses the microwave gun, but it doesn't work. Natalia tells him to throw the black object that he found at the creature that they hurt earlier. Somehow this works and the creature explodes. After finally killing the creature, they return to the submarine, and while they leave Moscow behind, Sean takes one last look at the city as he realizes that the aliens are leaving. As they head back home with the submarine, they make plans on how to exterminate all the creatures that are still on Earth. Thank you for watching, and I recommend you watching this video next.